Yeehaw! Chester's dead! Do you remember those westerns from the golden age of Hollywood with guys like Glenn Ford, Gene Autry, Rex O'Hurlahan, and of course, John Wayne? These guys played men of a certain type. They were bold and they were confident. They were strong and they were handsome. But they could be rough around the edges and not always nice. But they were always the hero that fought to the last. The man that saved the day and got the girl. They were the men that other men aspired to be like. Models of masculine charisma. Now, if you take all that, throw it up in the sky and speed it up to supersonic, you get Top Gun. Where the horses become jets, the men become pilots, and the women just can't help but fall for them rule-breaking dudes. And I love it. Not because I think it's realistic, but because of its cheesy, mostly non-realistic glory. Because reality can be really boring sometimes and quite depressing, don't you think? Why would I want that in a movie? It would be like if I played Maverick. Okay, yeah, I'm getting a little excited here, so I'll just pump the brakes. Because movies that are more of a reflection of reality do have their place, I agree. But they do lack a certain spark, I think. A certain kind of excitement, a side effect that comes from when we project our dreams into the real world. Movies that do this say a lot about us too, about our hopes and our fears, and what we value in life, and what we think the most ideal things are, our fantasies. Now, I have a feeling that men who watch Top Gun and those that are barely men like me have a subconscious idea of what they think a man should be and look like, and this could be for many different influential reasons, but the reasons I'm thinking of are a bit more base and a bit more hardwired into our species behavior. I'm going all the way back to our bombastic, chest-thumping ancestors. Think 2001. Then imagine men playing football or baseball. They're loud and aggressive and slapping themselves around too. They do whatever needs getting done to get things their way, to crush the competition and be the best around. Does this remind you of anyone? The stakes will be different in each story, of course, but this attitude of machismo is all over movies of today and yesterday. Sure, we're not all hulking Adonises like some people that get to bed Sharon Stone, but secretly, we really want to be. But in these movies, the most visible threats can be relatively external. Like, if the hero doesn't stop A from doing B, then C will happen, and that will be very bad. And it can feel that way with Top Gun too. If Maverick fails to do well in school, then Goose's life along with Goose's family, alongside Maverick himself, will be thrown into an uncertain and unstable future. Now, admittedly, that danger and potential outcome is relatively superficial and not very emotionally moving, but of course this is not the threat that gives the movie thrust. Nice dissolve. The real conflict is buried deep within Maverick's soul, and if he doesn't win that battle, he'll lose everything. And this conflict, mixed together with the surface tension, leads to some satisfying illumination.
Get ready for a surprise!
So what is this conflict within Maverick anyway? Like, what the hell am I trying to get at? Well, I think it's the battle that myself and other men run into as we grow up, age, and further interact with the world around us, trying to find our place within it. And that place is a balance point between our primitive brain's desire to be the best hunter and warrior we can be, and that of our also innate but more thoughtful and deeper need to find love and acceptance. And you can see this is pretty evident in Maverick. He wants to be the best pilot, but he also wants the good vibes and hot body that comes along with being the best. Of course, he doesn't have to go down this street, nor do we. But I think Maverick and all us other guys are instinctually driven to find a partner to share experiences with. And you know, when we catch a babe, it makes us feel like studs too. That's men in a pseudo-intellectual nutshell. Now, of course, these philosophies of the hero and the lover aren't mutually exclusive. They work together. Like I said, it's about finding harmony. And it's a really delicate tightrope walk, especially in that outfit. And sometimes you fall down, as we see with Maverick when his ambition gets the better of him, like when he first goes up against Viper. But success, or lack thereof, of being the great hunter and warrior, or pilot, will have a large effect on the kind of love and acceptance you may or may not get from the world around you. You gotta stand out, is what I'm getting at. I mean, think about it. I don't think I ever aspired to be like Hollywood when I was a kid. You remember him? He's a decent pilot, but decent isn't worth a cafe latte. In my own life, I can't say that it's merely that simple though, or so black and white. Though I suppose you could boil it down to these two contingencies. Do women want you, and do men admire you? For Maverick, the answer to both of these questions is a resounding yes. But like I said, it's not always that simple. When I was younger, I wished I could be like Maverick, but I never felt like I had that kind of mojo. Plus, I kind of look like the Green Goblin. Now, in my life, I've experienced lots of rejections. But I think compressing the response to those failures all down into this one simple creed, be the best hero, the best Maverick you can be, helps to focus my mind. So even though I've never felt like Maverick, I can still try my best to be something close to him. And I think that's what Top Gun as a movie is doing. And it's one of its strengths. Put simply, it keeps it simple. And although Maverick may not know what he wants exactly, we know, and we know what he really needs. That love and acceptance, or that love and feeling. Now, of course, his very name, Maverick, means independent and rebel, and that's important too. In my mind, I see myself in the same way.
I'm a loner, Daddy. A rebel.
Yeah, it's a romanticized and not always entirely accurate way to see ourselves. But I think the notion to do so comes from something buried deep down in the male genetic code, the DNA of the lone wolf. And like a wolf, we want to be fierce and quick. And we don't need nobody.
Nobody!
I'm glad you agree with me, Princess Vespa. You know, being a woe man and all. See, I think Maverick is this way too. He doesn't need Top Gun, or a woman, or even the Navy. Well, I mean, he does need the Navy unless he buys his own jets, but you get my point, right? He is that loner and rebel we see inside ourselves. I mean, look, he drives a motorcycle for crying out loud. Nobody needs to drive a motorcycle. A car is far more practical. And no helmet, by the way, because he lives on the edge. He is the royal we that takes all the risks and gets all the glory. Or chickens out and lives with the agony of their own trepidation. Forever. But it's not all machismo, you know? Because now I know where the real danger zone lies. It's in the manly heart. That's why I brought up Take My Breath Away. It's a love song, but it's the kind of love song written more for men, not women. It's the kind of love song our inner wolf doesn't necessarily like, but thinks will get her in the right mood. You know what I mean? And with all that bass, doesn't it sound like romantic porno music? Am I alone on this? Okay, porno soundtracks aside, the beats of that song are of an unsure and yearning heart. Not Charlie's heart, but Maverick's. After all, the song is written from a guy's point of view. If you're unsure, just check out the lyrics. But unconsciously, I think I picked up on that before I actually knew it. It's like the song has this masculine tenderness, which sounds like an oxymoron, but I think it's something that actually exists. It's just something we guys don't like to talk about, or show, or admit that we feel. Thrown for more than a loop, Maverick sweeps her into his arms and presses her quivering breast against the hard lines of his chest. With their lips locked in a fever, the heat of flushing cheeks becomes the new sun, and our eyes become the stars. Whew, get a little hot. Okay, I'm getting a little carried away. But hey, don't blame me. Blame Berlin. This movie just hits me in the right place, you know? But these tender buttons, they're not simply confined to the realm of romance. It comes with friendship and camaraderie and grief. A threshold Maverick strives not to breach. But if he softens up too much, he'll lose the edge that keeps him kicking ass. What if he pushes too hard for too long? He'll get careless and break through that threshold, and someone pays the price. In real life, having to deal with all this pain and guilt, it would be so much easier to just walk away. And I think a lot of us would. It's just too heavy, man. But not here. Not for movie men like Maverick. Because they get close to never giving up, but they always manage to find that last bit of inner strength. Because they know what we know, that they have a job to do. But the difference between them and us is they have the strength we wish we had. He's a fighter pilot first and a flawed human being second, which means there's no room for Charlie in this act. She disappears. He has to go it alone, face the fear, and prove his proof. And he does, you know that. And even his so-called adversaries are his friends now. It's the kind of fulfilling ending we dream would happen in our own lives. It's like the director grew up on the same movies as us and knows that we'd love to be the guy that ties it all together. Just like those cowboys of the Old West. All that time, blood and sweat. It was for a larger cause. And Maverick did it because he looked into his heart, not away from it. That's what gave him the strength in the end. That's what makes him a hero, I think. What makes a man. When life pushes you down, you just get right back up again, and you punch life square in the face. And I think that's where the movie should ultimately leave us. With Maverick finally finding that balance point between aggressiveness and acquiescence, between toughness and tenderness, between coolness and love. And this is where men in real life would feel a sense of wisdom with just a hint of bittersweet resolve. But this is a movie, and if it just stopped there, there's no way in hell that this ending would ever pass a test screening. So we get this. Which is okay, but not wholly necessary. I mean, Maverick's emotional journey ended on that aircraft carrier. I mean, sure, Charlie helped him a lot in getting to that conclusion, but I think that romance should have been left behind. That part of the story was over. But hey, as far as endings go, it's a happy one, and that's fine with me. The movie still gives me a lot to think about. I mean, how long have I been talking now? About this many minutes too long. So maybe I should just say goodbye. But I don't want to leave like that. Just cut and run. I mean, if you watched me all the way through without fast forwarding, I owe it to you. Okay, well, I started off by telling you that I was trapped in the closet over my Take My Breath Away appreciation, and I still kind of am, so don't go telling anybody, okay? But I also still like Highway to the Danger Zone. So what does that mean? So where do I fit in on the am I or am I not a real man rating scale? Well, I'm still a 0, but I think I understand now. Both songs come from the same place. Because what they say is true. The heart is a lonely hunter, but it does need some company. And so it's my conclusion that you can still enjoy Take My Breath Away and be a man. You just can't tell anyone about it. Okay, bye-bye.